All right, guys. Today we are gonna be reacting to German homes, how the Germans live. Let's jump in, guys.
Do you know that in German addresses, the street name comes first and then the number, and the postcode or zip code comes before the city? And check out the doorbells, no numbers. Instead, they're labelled with the surnames of the people living there, which strikes me as slightly unusual for this privacy-loving nation. Anyway, for today's episode, we're at home with the Germans. German homes come in all shapes and sizes. They also have pretty logical names. A house at the end of a row of houses is called an end of the row house, or ein Endhaus. A house where one family lives is called a one-family house, ein Familienhaus. Large houses split up into several apartments are called Mehrfamilienhäuser, or multi-family houses, and that's the most common type of home here. As I've told you before, Germans usually know the exact measurements of their home in square meters. The average German home is a little over 90 square meters, for 2 people. 5 million Germans live in a WG or Wohngemeinschaft, that's shared accommodation, and only 0.5% of households have 3 or more generations living under one roof.
Wow.
Cold rent means without bill.
Damn, really? Wow, that's kind of impressive.
And warm rent includes costs for certain utilities and services. Germany has long been a nation of renters. Less than half the population owns their own home, and in some larger cities that drops to a quarter. This is in part a hangover from recent history. During the war, a lot of private property was destroyed, so rental apartment blocks were built as a quick fix. In East Germany, people rarely had the option of purchasing their own property, and state-owned property was heavily subsidised. These days, some people prefer the flexibility of renting. Germans do, after all, move an average of 6 times in their life, but most people cite spiralling house prices and
Yo, I moved so many times in my life, man. It's crazy. I moved so many times in my life. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I moved like 4 times in Puerto Rico alone. Yeah, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. Then I came to the mainland. That's 5. Then Wisconsin. Then for Wyoming, that's 6. Wyoming, I went to New York, 7. And New York, I moved 7, 8, 9, 10. Then back to Milwaukee, 11. And then move to another apartment, 12. And this one's my 13. Damn. Renting. I'm tired of renting, guys. And the reason I moved to Wisconsin was because of New York was getting kind of crazy, man. But I moved to Wisconsin for a better life. And certainly things have improved a lot. But we're in a mission to just buy a house, just settling. But yeah, I moved too many times, man. Too many times, so.
hefty deposits as the main hurdle to owning your own home. That being said, renting isn't always a particularly cheap alternative. In Munich, renters are shelling out around 17 euros per square metre. Berlin has introduced a controversial 5-year rent freeze to try and get its prices under control.
Damn.
And some people are getting creative, shunning traditional living models in favour of houseboats, camper vans, communal living projects or tiny houses.
Ein Tiny House ist ein kleines Häuschen, meistens aus Holz gebaut, zwischen 10 und 20 Quadratmeter auf Rädern, auf einem Pkw-Anhänger.
Yeah, I would not. You know what's crazy? I would not blame them. I mean, I would not blame them. I might just buy one for myself for a guest house.
Ist aber auch eine Bewegung. Ja, ist eine Bewegung, die vor ungefähr 15 Jahren in Kalifornien in den USA eingesetzt hat.
Und wie ist es dann nach Deutschland gekommen?
In Deutschland gab es ja schon immer durch diese Kleingärten eine Tiny House Affinität. Deutsche und auch Holländer, die ja sehr viel Camping machen und Caravaning, die haben eine hohe Sympathie für kleine Räume.
Welche Vorteile bietet ein Tiny House?
Wenn wir nicht mehr so viel Platz beanspruchen, können wir nicht mehr so viel kaufen.
But it's more like I was gonna say it's more like a minimalist lifestyle too, right? You having a minimalist lifestyle. Look at that, man. That's a nice house. If you ask me, this is perfect. If I was single, no family, no nothing, I would just probably do something like this. And do my YouTube videos in a place like this. Literally with $1,000, I'll probably survive and even have money to invest and buy groceries. And still have money for myself. This is not a bad idea.
Auf einmal in Holzgebäude leben würden, hätten wir nicht so eine CO2-Katastrophen.
And also they're not hunted, so.
Wenn wir nicht mehr in anonymen Hochhäusern leben wollen, sondern eher in kleineren Strukturen, dann ist das Soziale Miteinander auch ein anderes.
Anyway, back to the status quo for now. Here are my personal picks for a few things that make a home very German. House shoes, bottled water, sparkling of course, weird little mini forks for cake. If the cakes aren't mini, then why are the forks? Solid roller blinds that block out every last scrap of light. One of these retro-looking wooden... Every last scrap of light.
Damn, really? That is actually really impressive.
One of these retro-looking wooden measuring sticks. A cellar with caged-off storage spaces. A beloved balcony. That's the most sought-after home feature. 2 duvets, very practical. And unwieldy, squashy, frankly ridiculous square pillows. Newcomers often have a few surprises when they move into their first place in Germany. First of all, don't expect a house or flat to be furnished, even if you're renting. And the biggest shock of all might come when you enter the kitchen. Yep, it's totally normal to take your entire kitchen with you when you move. Counters, cooker, sink, everything. One good thing about moving here is that it's a team effort. It's absolutely the done thing to enlist the help of all your friends. The only payment required is beer, pizza, and the knowledge that you'll return the favour. Of course, it wouldn't be Germany
That's
without...
it. Beer and pizza. Well, that's not bad combination. Beer and pizza. And so in the family member, like the episode that we watched before, they would even bring you bread with salt. Why not with butter? Why not with butter, huh?
Without a good set of rules. The small print in a rental contract can include such gems as the exact level of noise you're allowed to make, how often you have to air your flat out, and the requirement to repaint every room a neutral colour upon your departure. If you've noticed anything else about the German way of living, leave me a comment below. Thanks for dropping by.
Rachel Stewart, the little cat. Yeah, so I moved quite a lot. Moved around quite a lot. The most interesting one was in Wyoming. That thing was cold as hell, man. I remember my first time in August. We were ready to receive snow in August. That was the craziest thing ever. I never experienced that in my life, but I loved the experience. August, snow in August, and before that, you probably could have snow in July. So yeah. That was crazy. Yeah, you heard that. But Wyoming was one of the most interesting places. Yeah. I mean that beautiful area. You can literally walk in downtown. I was like 5 minutes from downtown, just walking. You could have just walked with the downtown in 30 minutes. It was very small, but very interesting, very isolated place, like a Wild Wild West kind of place. I rented a studio for $300. It was okay. But let me know what you guys see in the comment section below, and let me know how many times you moved so far. Are you one of those average Germans that moved like 6 times in their life? I would love to hear you guys' opinion. I'll see you next one.